Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more.
You're out of your mind, Lisa. Please, how about I give you $100? My sister's desperation was evident. I couldn't fathom why she thought I could handle this. Please. Lisa's tears started flowing. I should have anticipated this. The tears had begun on Wednesday evening when Nancy's mom called with distressing news. Nancy had been in a car accident and was in the hospital with a broken femur. There was no way her thighbone would heal by Saturday morning. Why was her being out of commission such a big deal? Saturday marked the end of my sister's year-long beautician training, her final exam, where she had to demonstrate all her learned skills. Each student needed to provide their own model for a complete makeover, judged by state examiners. It was also a contest with judges from salons, model agencies, and the press. The top 3 students would receive a cash prize and gain valuable resume credentials. Nancy had volunteered as Lisa's model so she could take the exam and enter the contest. Without a model, Lisa couldn't take the test or participate, and she'd have to wait another 3 months for the next opportunity. Please, Tommy, she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. I was softening. I should mention that Lisa had few friends outside her class, and Nancy was her only option. She couldn't afford a professional model, and the rules prohibited hiring one for the contest. What exactly do I have to do? I asked reluctantly. Oh, thank you. Lisa's joy was clear as she gave me a kiss, something she hadn't done in ages. I haven't agreed yet, I said, pushing her back. What exactly do I have to do? Just sit still for about 4 hours on Saturday morning. I'll handle everything. Her explanation seemed overly simplistic. But I have to pretend to be a girl, right? Like most 18-year-olds, the idea of wearing women's clothing and makeup was unappealing. Lisa bit her lip and lowered her eyes. It's only for a few hours. What exactly do I need to wear? A dress, pantyhose, and heels, she answered barely above a whisper. How about a t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers? I countered. That's what everyone wears. I'm not putting on a dress. The guys would never let me live it down. They won't find out. The rules require all models to wear the same outfit to ensure the judging is fair, she said. It made sense, but I was still reluctant. On Friday afternoon, Lisa convinced me to practice. I need to shave your legs and give you a shampoo, Tommy. I'll shave my own legs. I knew the sheer black hosiery required smooth legs. I had agreed to help, but this was pushing it. Unless you have a secret I don't know about, Lisa grinned. You've never shaved your legs and will likely end up with nicks everywhere. She had a point. My body hair, while light, would be noticeable. I had only been shaving my face for about a year, and even then, I often nicked myself. I perched on the toilet lid while Lisa coated my legs with shaving cream and carefully ran a disposable razor from my toes upward. It felt strange having my sister kneeling and performing this task. All done, she declared after 3 razors. Before I could get up, she sprayed shaving foam on my right arm and began shaving it as well. Lisa paid extra attention to shaving my face. Now, I'm going to shampoo your hair. Come to the sink. Why can't I do it myself? I've shampooed my hair before. At least Lisa couldn't use the same excuse as she did with the shaving. Because. She used that classic parental excuse. Because what? I pressed. Because I want to do it properly and condition it afterward. It won't hurt, she said. Even after a hot shower and thorough rinse, the floral scent of Lisa's conditioner lingered in my long hair. Wrapped in a towel, I stepped out of the steamy bathroom. Unless you want everyone to know you're a boy, you should start acting more like a girl, she giggled. What? I protested. While I didn't want anyone to think I was a guy, especially not while wearing a dress, I was still unsettled. The towel, Lisa said, pointing. Cover your chest properly. No girl would wrap it like that. Before I could react, Lisa had whipped the towel off me and wrapped it around my chest, under my arms. She stared for a moment before covering me again. The questioning look was fleeting, but noticeable. Throughout high school, my small size had been a frequent target for jokes. I was only 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighed just 117 pounds, which only added to the teasing from the jocks. "Put these on," Lisa said, handing me a pair of her panties. "Can't I wear my own briefs?" "No," she said firmly. "These will hold everything in place. You really don't want any bulges giving you away. Or do you?" She grinned. Reluctantly, I stepped into the elastic bikini and pulled it up under the towel. "Tuck yourself back between your legs, Tommy. They're too tight," I complained, unaccustomed to such restriction. "Don't be silly. They fit me just fine." "On you, they should be loose," she said. Lisa had a nice figure and outweighed me by about 10 or 15 pounds, plus she was a bit taller. "Sit down, and I'll show you how to put on the pantyhose." Lisa opened a new package and knelt before me. She demonstrated how to gather the sheer fabric into a small pocket, place my foot in, and slowly work it up my leg. The sensation of the thin nylon against my skin was unusual. I mirrored her movements to cover my right leg. Lisa had me stand to pull the pantyhose over my front and rear, then she smoothed them over both legs to even them out. I didn't protest when handed the black bra. Though I was as flat-chested as any guy and didn't need support, going braless wasn't an option if I wanted to look right. I removed the towel and followed Lisa's instructions on how to wear it. She stuffed the small cups with nearly half a box of tissues. Clearly, the bra wasn't hers. I didn't question it. There was no point. The dress was a black, elastic knit with long sleeves and a high, snug neck. Lisa zipped it up the back. "Your shoes, and you'll be ready," she said, pulling a showbox from under her bed. The shoes were clearly brand new. "Where did you get these?" "I picked them up during lunch yesterday," she replied. I didn't press further since I hadn't agreed to this until after dinner on Thursday. It was strange standing in nearly 3-inch heels for the first time. Despite my lack of experience with heels, I managed without wobbling, though I had to take shorter steps. Another issue was the dress. It was too short. "You have great legs. All the other girls will be wearing the same dress, so stop worrying," Lisa said. I didn't want to even think about having great legs. When I sat down again, Lisa put my long hair into a ponytail. Normally, I wore it low on the nape of my neck with an elastic band, but she styled it high with a narrow white ribbon after brushing it out. "Okay, you're all set for today," she announced, catching me off guard. "I thought you were going to fix my hair and put makeup on me," I blurted out, making her laugh. "You said you wanted to practice." "I wanted you to practice. Don't sound so disappointed, Tommy. I thought you didn't want to do this." "I don't, but..." I stopped myself before saying anything dumber. "If you want makeup, use mine," she said, pointing to her vanity. I was only helping her out, and I had no intention of applying makeup unless absolutely necessary. The practice involved me learning how to move like a girl under Lisa's guidance. I walked, went up and down the stairs, and must have sat down 100 times that afternoon. The toughest part was posing when I stood or sat still. It felt silly positioning my feet and hands the way other girls did. I hated her constant reminder of like other girls. When I asked her to stop, she only said it more. Later, I was seated in the kitchen with a soda while Lisa prepared supper. With the door open for the June breeze, a knock on the screen door made me freeze in panic. I was only 3 feet away from it. "Oh, hi, Mrs. Current. Come on in." Lisa called to invite our next-door neighbor inside. I was terrified, but there was nothing I could do. Running from the room, as I initially considered, wouldn't have worked. "Thanks, Lisa. I was wondering if you have any tea I could borrow. Jim's aunt stopped by and asked for a cup, and we don't drink it." "Sure. Mrs. Current, this is my friend Veronica. Tiff, this is my next-door neighbor, Sally Current." "Hi," she said cheerfully as she approached. I forced myself to repeat the greeting. Sally Currant's gaze lingered on me, and I knew my secret might soon be out. Sally was notorious for her gossip. Her attention quickly shifted to a plastic bag Lisa had filled with tea bags. I thought about closing and locking the kitchen door once she left, but Lisa walked over and opened it again. "What am I supposed to do now?" I asked, my voice betraying my panic. "What do you mean?" She saw me. I gestured to my dress. "Well, of course she did. So what? So now everyone will know your brother wore a dress." I felt on the verge of tears. "Relax. All Mrs. Currant saw was my new friend Veronica, not a boy in a dress." I wasn't convinced, but there was no changing the situation now. After supper, we were watching TV together. I was still in the same outfit. Lisa had insisted I stay dressed to get used to it before the exam the next morning. The only changes when we arrived at the school on Saturday were the perfume Lisa had spritzed on me and the silver jewelry I was now wearing, a thin watch, a herringbone necklace, and a pair of small clip-on earrings. All were either silver-toned or sterling. "Put your purse on your left shoulder," Lisa directed, positioning my trembling hand on the black leather bag. I was terrified of facing her friends and all the strangers. What would happen if people discovered I wasn't who I was pretending to be? I stayed as close to Lisa as possible. We registered, and I was surprised to learn I was listed as Veronica Suzanne Winters from South Dakota. I couldn't have picked a more random place. Lisa introduced me to her friends, who all seemed to scrutinize me. She also introduced me as her cousin visiting for the summer. Despite their stares, no one said anything out of the ordinary. "Let's head to the girls' room before we start," Lisa said. I wanted to protest I couldn't go into the girls' restroom because I was a guy, but dressed as I was, the boys' room would have been even more problematic. The restroom was crowded, and I wasn't used to waiting in line just to use the toilet. When I finally got to a stall, I remembered to sit and carefully avoid ruining my pantyhose as I adjusted them. Lisa was nowhere in sight, so I waited in the hall. I didn't want to linger and watch the girls touch up their makeup. Yes, I had lipstick and other cosmetics in my large purse, but all models, including me, were required to be makeup-free until the exam started. "There you are," Lisa said, appearing behind me. "Let's get your picture taken, then we can start." I dreaded having my picture taken in a dress, but it was part of the process. Lisa had me stand in line with the other models while she went to set things up. "Name?" the photographer asked when I reached the table. I almost said my real name but caught myself. "Veronica Suzanne Winters," I stammered. After providing Lisa's name for me, the letterboard was placed in a stand for the photo. I'd never been arrested, but I couldn't shake the image of getting a mugshot at the police station. I was sure everyone would find out I was a guy soon enough. Lisa draped a plastic cape over me and undid my ponytail. She began wetting my hair. Despite my repeated questions, Lisa finally told me to be quiet when I asked what she was planning to do. What kind of look was she trying to achieve? "I'm just trimming your split ends, Tiff," she explained. I felt her combing and then the scissors snipping away at my wet hair. "I'm glad you haven't had your hair done recently," she added, causing me to chuckle. "Could have fooled me with all the times you've nagged about it," I replied, feeling a bit more at ease. "That was under different circumstances," Lisa said, countering my comment. After a few minutes of cutting, Lisa put away her scissors and began rearranging my hair with her fingers, scrutinizing it thoughtfully. She then wrapped strips of aluminum foil around selected strands all over my head. I was clueless about what she was doing but decided not to ask. She covered most of my hair in front with the foil. Donning thin rubber gloves, Lisa started applying a smelly lotion to my hair. It began to tingle slightly, but the odor was the worst part. Once she was satisfied, she covered my head with a clear plastic bonnet tied under my chin. Using a hooked tool, she pulled out a foil-wrapped section of hair and removed the foil. "Can you tell me what you're doing?" I asked, trying to understand. "Coloring your hair, of course," she said casually. "Sure, just like that." My hair had always been a dull, light brown, often described as mousy. What color? I inquired. Don't worry about it. You won't like it, so don't ask, Lisa replied. Her answer didn't reassure me, and I couldn't imagine what she was doing. With the goop still in my hair, Lisa turned her attention to my right eyebrow. I winced as she yanked out a large bunch of hairs all at once. Yes, it hurts. Just be a good girl and try to stay still, Lisa instructed. Can't you at least do less at once? I pleaded. There's a lot to do, and I don't have all day, she replied. Eventually, she slowed down and began plucking individual hairs. Given the pain I just experienced, I was surprised I had any eyebrows left. After rinsing my hair with the plastic cap still on, Lisa removed it and thoroughly rinsed out the remaining coloring agent. She then applied what I assumed was conditioner, which left my hair smooth and tangle-free. It also smelled pleasant, which was an odd thought for me. I wasn't supposed to smell pretty. Lisa kept me bent over the sink while she let the conditioner sit for a few minutes before rinsing it out. After drying my hair with a towel, several brilliant flashes blinded me. Photographers were taking pictures. I'm going to let your hair air dry for a bit. Put your hands out, Lisa instructed. I complied. She mentioned that a manicure was required, and she was aiming for extra points with acrylic nails. Lisa started by trimming my cuticles and then roughening the backs of my nails to ensure good adhesion. Having seen her use these techniques to fix her own nails before, the little plastic forms she fitted to each of my fingertips didn't surprise me. I was also familiar with the strong solvent smell of the mixture she began applying carefully. I watched as she meticulously trimmed the reinforcement and placed strips into the sticky mixture. It took over an hour before she finally removed the last of the forms. I'll shape them later. Please don't play with them, Tiff, Lisa said. My fingers felt so different that I was tempted to touch and experiment with them, but I managed to control my urge and remain still while she continued working on my hair. Lisa alternated between shaping my new hairstyle and my nails. They extended over an inch when she set her tools aside and started painting on a clear base coat. I wanted to protest about the length of the nails, but I figured it would only be until the exams were over, and then I could cut them off. Throughout the morning, numerous people circulated around the large room. They seemed to be the ones administering the test and judging the contest, along with several photographers. Lisa had just started applying makeup when I noticed a group nearby that seemed unusually large and didn't leave after a few minutes. Robert, this one, a woman commanded. A man with 3 cameras hanging around his neck and another in his hand appeared instantly beside her. I guessed her to be in her early 40s. With her were 3 younger women, all dressed in identical, tight blue outfits with heavily, but exquisitely, made-up faces. Get me good pictures and stay close to this one until the end, she instructed the photographer. The woman wore a tailored grey suit that exuded authority and power. Janet, stay with Robert, she directed a pretty brunette. I overheard Janet telling Bob, I think Ms. Saunders just picked the winner. Lisa's eyes closed and her fists clenched in excitement. It seemed impossible. Pucker, Lisa said, and I mimicked her as she brushed on another coat of makeup. Okay, I'm done, she announced. When she removed the cape and helped me to stand, the surrounding crowd applauded respectfully. Ms. Saunders reappeared with her team, while cameras flashed continuously. Jane Saunders, she introduced herself to Lisa, handing her a card that read Saunders and Saunders. I had no idea of its significance, but it was clear she wasn't one of the state examiners. The crowd slowly dispersed as nothing more was said. Lisa, I need to go, I whispered as she packed up her things. You're not going anywhere, Veronica. This won't take much longer, Lisa replied. I need to use the restroom, I said, feeling a bit self-conscious about it. After sitting for nearly 4 hours, it was becoming urgent. Lisa gave me a peculiar smile. Okay, just let me finish up here. Getting my pantyhose and panties down was tricky enough, but pulling them up with the glued-on talons was nearly impossible. I was terrified I'd ruin them by making holes. Thankfully, that didn't happen. With so many girls crowding the sinks, I didn't even think to check the mirror. I wished I had. Staying close to Lisa, we headed toward the area where the results of the state cosmetology test were to be posted. The crowd pressed in, eager to see the results. Before we could get close, a piercing cry cut through the noise. A guy, well, I assumed he was a guy, rushed out in tears. Had he failed? The girl trailing behind him looked like a disaster area in comparison to my own appearance. She was dressed like me, and I could only guess she was one of the models. 97, Lisa read the grade with a wide grin. I felt a mix of relief and nervousness. We followed the crowd to the judging area for the contest. To my surprise, Jane Saunders wasn't one of the judges. Her group was near the front of the stage, but so were many other spectators. Barbara Miller, come forward, the man's voice echoed over the sound system. A girl to our right squealed with excitement. Bring your model, Miss Miller. He waited as the tall redhead and her model took the stage. As I call the names of the beauticians, please step forward with your models. 9 contestants were already on stage when I heard, Lisa Blake. My nerves kicked in, despite having made it through the day without any major issues. Lisa grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the stage. The crowd's murmurs faded as I stepped up. Cameras flashed incessantly, and my anxiety spiked. The models, including myself, were lined up and made to walk in a circle before the judges. I was too nervous to notice that the other models were just as apprehensive. One by one, beauticians and their models left the stage until only 3 of us remained, a stunning black girl, a beautiful blonde, and me. I could hardly believe this was happening. The third runner-up will receive a $500 gift certificate to Beautiful Images, and her model will get a $100 certificate. The announcer opened the large envelope. The third runner-up is Marlene Dieter with Patty Daniels. The redhead to my right glanced at me. The black girl beside me, tall and graceful, looked like a clear winner. She smiled warmly at me. You've got my vote, honey, she said, brushing her cheek against mine. You've got what it takes. Then she was gone. Our first place winner will enjoy a year's use of a 1985 Mustang convertible, and her model will receive a check for $1,000. The winners are Lisa Blake and Veronica Winters. The crowd erupted in applause. It felt surreal, like a dream. Everyone seemed to converge on the stage. Smile, Veronica, someone said. Turn this way, Veronica. The photos and interviews felt endless. Tell us about yourself. What do you do? Where are you from? I was in shock and couldn't answer their questions. All I wanted was to escape. A hand pulled me from the crowd. It wasn't Lisa's. It belonged to the girl who had watched Lisa finish my look. What was her name? I couldn't remember. Thank you, Janet. Yes, Ms. Saunders had indeed called her Janet. I stood amidst her entourage, facing the stern-looking woman. I'm Jane Saunders, Veronica, she said, her tone now warm and soothing, a stark contrast to the authoritative voice she had used before. You're very attractive, Veronica. Thank you, was all I could manage, feeling the urge to hide. How old are you? Just 19, I replied. Would you be interested in interviewing for a position at my firm? Attractive people are exactly what I'm looking for. How should I respond? I'd been out of work since Christmas after McNulty's closed. I had spent my time babysitting the mainframe at the department store since I graduated the previous year. I felt Lisa's hand squeeze mine. I was never more relieved to see her. I'm sure my cousin would love to, Ms. Saunders, Lisa said, surprising me with her words on my behalf. Veronica has just moved here from the West, and I think the hustle and bustle today has been a bit overwhelming for her. Here's my card, Jane Saunders said, pressing her business card into my sweaty hand. I expect you at the office at 9 o'clock sharp on Monday, Veronica. She had an aura that suggested you did not want to cross her. I was certain, Lisa, and I would figure something out. I also expect you to maintain your current look. Don't change anything, Veronica. It was more of a command than a request. Yes, I managed to gulp. She turned to Lisa. I own Saunders and Saunders. We're a cosmetics manufacturer and always on the lookout for talented individuals. There's an opening in our promotions department for you. You have my card. Be there at 8 on Monday. That's a directive. Her tone made it clear that she meant business. Without another word, Jane Saunders and her entourage left. Lisa pulled me outside, and I followed her, feeling dazed. But I just can't, Lisa. Being your model and sitting there was one thing, but how am I supposed to convince them to hire me? She thinks I'm a girl. I nervously laughed at the absurdity of the situation. There's no way I won't be recognized as a guy in a dress. Lisa gave me a peculiar look as she drove home. Have you looked at yourself lately, since I worked on you? I hadn't. I had no idea what the fuss was about. She reached over and lowered the visor on my side, revealing the mirror. Yikes, was all I could say when I saw my reflection. I stared in disbelief at the exotic, made-up redhead staring back at me. Well, she was mostly auburn-haired, but with brassy bangs, highlighted blonde curls, and cascading chestnut waves in the back. There was no way it was me. Lisa stopped for wine and Chinese takeout before we got home. The drive was mostly silent. I just kept staring at the mirror, at my long red nails, and my exposed thighs. We're going to the office on Monday. No arguments, Veronica, Lisa said flatly. Please stop calling me that, I pleaded. I might have had better luck asking the walls for a response. There's no way I can pull this off. That was how Saturday night ended, without any solutions. I managed to remove my makeup, but without polish remover, I couldn't undo my painted nails or change my hair color. I debated cutting both short but didn't even look for clippers. The next morning, I went downstairs in just a t-shirt and well-worn jeans. Even without makeup, I looked like a flat-chested girl. Lisa glared at me as she said, "Good morning." I haven't changed my mind, Veronica. Lisa poured me a glass of juice and took a seat across from me at the table. Before you say anything else, take a look at this. She handed me the front page of the styles section from the Sunday paper. I straightened up as I saw my picture in full color under the headline, "A Rare Beauty Graces Local Contest." You managed yesterday, and now you're even in the paper, Lisa said with a grin. All right, I said, trying to be more reasonable. Let's say I go to the interview. How am I supposed to handle social security and all that? They'll definitely check and ask for my card if I get the job. I thought that would put an end to her plans. I bet you already have the job, Lisa said as she stood up. Eat some cereal and come up to my room. I'll get you looking pretty again. We have a lot to do today. When I reached her room, Lisa was already on the phone. Hi, Uncle Frank. It's Lisa. I sighed. Just a moment, Uncle Frank. Lisa covered the mouthpiece and turned to me. Veronica, get dressed. I'll help with your makeup in a minute, okay? I nodded, confused. Uncle Frank wasn't actually our uncle, he was the father of one of Lisa's friends. Known to those close to him, including the police, as Papers Lasati, he ran the local family. Why was my sister calling him? I put on the same outfit from yesterday but struggled to close the zipper in the back of the dress. Lisa zipped me up when she came in. Sit still while I do your makeup. Pay attention today so you can at least touch it up yourself later, Veronica. Sis, why are you making me do this? We went over this last night. You need a job. I need help with the bills, or we'll both be homeless, and I don't want to face that. Now sit still so I can do your eyes. Lisa opted for a much subtler look than yesterday, though it still felt like too much makeup to me. Lisa did her own makeup to match mine and changed into a black dress. We didn't match exactly, but we were close. It was a bright, warm summer day, so fewer people were at the mall. Lisa started shopping for me in the lingerie department of a big discount store. She picked out a dozen pairs of pantyhose, mostly in beige and skin tones, 3 bras, and a dozen pairs of panties. We also got camisoles, half slips, and 1 full slip. Let's find you some nice tops for work, Tiff. Lisa didn't ask me to try on any of the lingerie but did with the 3 blouses she selected. Most of the sales staff left us alone, but as soon as we neared the fitting rooms, a clerk about Lisa's age came to assist. It felt strange standing behind the curtain in just my bra, panties, and pantyhose. I was terrified of being discovered and getting into trouble. But my bra shows, I protested when I saw the black bra clearly visible through one of the thin white blouses. Of course it does. You don't wear black underwear with a white blouse, silly, Lisa teased. Wear the white one with this. She swapped out one blouse for a larger size after seeing how it fit, but we ended up buying all 3 styles. Oh, this will look fantastic on you. Lisa held a pistachio-colored suit up to my chin. Hold this. She also found an identical one in white. We headed back to the car to unload my armful of packages, then returned to shop for more wardrobe essentials while avoiding the pricier stores. I never realized buying shoes could be so exhausting. Lisa emphasized the importance of coordinating colors with different outfits and the variety of styles. The young clerk who helped us made me extremely uncomfortable. He kept trying to look up my dress. His touch, even the fact that he was touching me, sent shivers down my spine. I was eager to leave. Can I change now? I asked, sitting exhausted on the side of my bed after we brought everything up to my room. If you mean into another pretty outfit from what we bought, yes. But if you mean back to your old clothes, definitely not, Lisa said firmly, watching my reaction. If you want any chance of pulling this off tomorrow, you need all the practice you can get at being Veronica. But I don't want to be Veronica Winters. I want to go back to being a man, I protested. Then you can pack up and move out. Lisa's tone was unyielding. Since Mom and Dad had died, everything was in her name, and I owed her a lot. I wasn't sure what rights, if any, I had. Now, defeated, I changed from my black outfit into a white short-sleeve blouse and a slender black skirt, remembering to switch to a white bra at the last minute. Lisa, can you come here, please? I called down to her. When she came upstairs, I showed her the problem. My perspiration had saturated the tissues stuffed in my bra, creating a lumpy mess. Throw them away and just leave the cups empty. I'll come up with something, she said. I considered skipping the bra entirely but decided against directly disobeying my sister, especially since she seemed to be in a bad mood. The next morning, Lisa styled my hair as soon as I'd finished showering. I decided it would be best to shave off the rest of my body hair to avoid any risk of it showing if a button popped open. I laid out your outfit for today on the bed. Paint your toenails while I get ready, Lisa instructed, handing me a bottle of nail polish to match my long nails. Put cotton balls between your toes until the polish dries, and make sure it's completely dry before you put on your pantyhose. Lisa did my makeup just like on Saturday, including the false eyelashes. When I complained that I looked like a prostitute, she just laughed. No, you don't, silly. A bit overdone, but that's not you today. Everything I wore was white, from the bikinis to the suit, even my sheer pantyhose. Lisa gave me earrings and a single strand of fake pearls to complete the look. How do you feel? She asked. Nervous as a hen with a fox in the house, I replied. Mom used to say that whenever she felt anxious. My chest doesn't feel right, I added. Lisa had filled 2 Ziploc bags with mayonnaise to create the illusion of a small chest inside my bra. They're the best I can do for now. Grab your purse and let's go. I picked up the white handbag and took one last look in the mirror before heading to the garage with Lisa. Here, my sister said, handing me an envelope as we drove through town. This should make things a bit easier. Inside, I found a new social security card with my new name and my actual number. Where did you get this? I asked, my curiosity piqued despite my new redhead persona making me seem rather naive. Don't ask, she replied tersely. I knew better than to question Uncle Frank, his business, or Lisa's connections with him. We arrived at the address on the card just before 8. Lisa instructed me to wait outside until 5 minutes before 9. You don't want to seem too eager, Veronica, she advised. I wished her luck with her interview, and she wished me the same. Too eager. That barely scratched the surface of my anxiety. I was about to interview for a job in a girl's suit, high heels, and full makeup. The thought of backing out crossed my mind, but I had no money, no house keys, which were in the white purse Lisa had loaned me, and no way to get home except to walk 15 miles or hitchhike. I had to go through with it. Good morning. Welcome to Saunders & Saunders, the receptionist said as I approached her desk. Good morning, I'm Veronica Winters, I managed to say, causing her face to light up with a big smile as she scrutinized me. You're even prettier than your photo in the papers, she complimented. I was flattered but unsure of how to respond. Have a seat, and we'll get the paperwork done. Then I'll introduce you to the rest of your department, she continued, making it sound like I was already hired. I'm Julie Steele. Nice to meet you, Tiff, she said warmly. It certainly sounded like I had the job. As I provided the necessary information, Julie typed it into her computer, then placed a small stack of brochures in front of me. Medical, dental, optical, 401k, pension, etc., she said, quickly fanning them out before gathering them up again. Put these in your purse, and feel free to ask questions after you've read through them. She waited until I had them stowed away before continuing. You'll start at $3,500 a month plus expenses. Pay is weekly, expenses are reimbursed monthly. Sit tight while I see if Laura is available. I was in shock as everything seemed to be happening so fast, and I barely heard her conversation. Your boss will be up in a few minutes. Just relax while I get back to work, okay? But, I began, trying to understand what had just happened. I was supposed to have an interview with Ms. Saunders. She had to go to a meeting. Besides, interview for what? Julie looked puzzled. For the job, to determine if I'm qualified. My answer prompted a laugh from her. Believe me, you're qualified. To be a makeup model, you don't need to be smart, just pretty, smile, and follow the photographer's directions. What else would the boss care about? Nothing, I guess, I replied, still processing the whirlwind of events. That's how my career began, 15 years ago. I modeled full-time until I was 29, traveling from location shoots in India to Moscow. Papers Lasati was skilled at his job, but from his cell in a federal penitentiary, he wasn't able to forge a passport 6 months after I started. When I was told we were going to London, I had to come clean to Jane and stop living in denial. Her reaction was surprising, but now that I work so closely with her, it seems exactly what I should have expected. Veronica, I don't care. Jane snapped. Have Robert take the right photos, go home, get your birth certificate, and go to the county clerk's office to file the papers. See if they can expedite it. I stood there, stunned, thinking she must not have heard me say I was a man. Veronica, Jane sighed, I don't care what you are. What matters is how you look in print and on film. Now get moving. The last time I went through immigration, after returning from Switzerland, there were no raised eyebrows or embarrassing questions like before. I still model, but only part-time now. While I'm no longer earning $500,000 a year, my salary is quite good, more than I'd make as Tommy, though not in the 6-figure range. I'm still chauffeured to work, meetings, and photo shoots, but I don't have time to leisurely flip through fashion magazines or watch TV during the rides, I'm too busy. My role now is to assist Jane with whatever needs to be done. I'm the assistant to the CEO and president of Saunders & Saunders, Limited.